So I can do 12-minute segments. It's a very weird way to start YouTube, but you do what you can. That's the whole theme of One Piece, right? Like, if the first boat that you got falls apart under your freaking feet, get yourself in a barrel and pray, I don't know, God's good graces. Or whatever the atheist equivalent is. Like, pray that, like, you're born with an intricate belonging to the world, and once you pursue that meaning that is innate, like it's a part of you, it's a part of why you're born, and into both your family line and your like societal line and the world as a whole, you are a piece of it and you're an important piece, and once you pursue whatever it is that is meant to be your part, you know, then the fates will align. That's my atheistic interpretation of being in God's good graces. For, you know, the things like Luffy, like being in a barrel and making it, like people go like, oh, well, that's unrealistic and stuff. Like people that I know that haven't seen the live action, the anime, I've recommended the live action, they start it and they can't get into it. One of the reasons is because there's little things like that, especially right at the beginning, where to them they're like, that is just so unrealistic. And it's like, okay, first off, it's an anime. It's meant to be a little bit unrealistic. By the time you get to like the 4th episode, your what is it, suspension of disbelief will be just completely gone. So don't worry about that. Secondly, that is actually one of the themes, is once you're, you know, pursuing what you're supposed to be pursuing and you're doing it in the right way, like not like being a crook or a skis, like you're doing it in a morally upstanding way, like the Straw Hats do, then things kind of line up, and not necessarily perfectly. That's the idea. Like, you know, he's in a barrel. That's not like, hey, the fates are treating you kindly with you're giving you your gold spoons and your silver bowls, madam. Silver spoons and gold bowls, madam. I did like a weird kind of spoonerism there. Oh my god, okay. And I've got the show on, like, in the background on mute, just so I can remember things to say, because I wanted to talk for an hour, just talk nonstop about this, but I can't do that because of reasons related to the phone that I just explained earlier, but it's in a different video now. So, I don't know. But, yeah, something that I find really, really funny is I find Axe Hand Morgan looks so much, in an odd way, like Douglas Murray. But, like, not necessarily in, like, a bad way. Like, I'm not saying Douglas Murray is a villain by any means, by the way. I'm just saying, like, and especially with, like, when you think about, like, all right, like, so his argument's, like, cut to the core, so that's the axe hand, and he takes everything, like, on the chin. So that's the iron chin. Like, I just look at this, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, they made a character after Douglas Murray. But, anyways, unrelated to any of that, what was I talking about with themes? See, this is why I need a second person, so that, first off, I don't just keep talking and talking, because some of my ideas are good, some of them are completely idiotic, and it would really help to have someone to bounce off of so that I know which are which. And then the other one would be just straight up so nobody forgets what the conversation was about, because stoners have a reputation for having a great memory. So, so anyways, but yeah, one of the things that I find really, really compelling about One Piece is just that thing that other people can't even get into it for, which is something along the lines of fate is with you when you're pursuing things. And I know the lightning strike, I know that gets like de-themed later on in the series. I know that. I still go with the original themes of fate, because even with what actually happened, to me, that's still like very fortuitous, and it's kind of fated in a sense. Well, but still, yeah, like people can be fate, like people being in the right place at the right time when you need them, that can be part of fate too. Like there's no like, oh, it has to be an act of nature. Like, no, like, I don't know. And it's tough explaining that from like a atheistic perspective, because I really don't believe in anything that can't be proven, but I do believe in like things that are like not necessarily unprovable. So it's like, as long as we're on that medium ground of, hey, it's possible, like it's not impossible, but it's not likely, then I'll go like, yeah, that could be what's going on. So for things like fate, like I've kind of been turning around a little bit more and going like, yeah, I've noticed that when people that I really admire and when people that I love in my life are doing things that I know are good for them, are good for their souls, are good for what they want to do with their lives, their futures and stuff, things kind of line up. And again, not in a perfect way where it's like you've got this great big boat and you get to go be a pirate and like everything falls into place. Like, no, you've got this little dinky boat that'll fall apart under your feet and then you'll be in a barrel and hey, turns out the barrel will get you somewhere. Like, and that is to me such a perfect representation of it. Because like, oh my God, I've had like a really tough time with trying to start a career, especially the YouTube part of it, but even the writing part. And I write, that's the one thing that I do is write. Everything else, like, I try and get like something going whenever, like send out a query, get YouTube, like I just said in the other video, which should be earlier, but it's in a different video. But whenever I try to like start doing things with YouTube, there's always some kind of hitch and catch. But every single step of the way, it's like there is also something that I'm learning that's like really important. Like lately with all of these things with like YouTube and stuff, I realized like, hey, I don't want to talk about, I do want to talk about complex theories and like psychology, philosophy, all of that stuff. But you know what I really want to talk about? TV! Who doesn't? What kind of writer worth their salt would not want to talk about the stories that inspired her? So One Piece wasn't one of them, by the way. I only found out about that as an adult. And I can see the progression between, so it has nothing to do with the live action, but like kind of, because it's like, who is the target demographic for the live action? So I can see the progression between like back in the 90s, whenever it started, and it was like really fundamentally a kid's show. And then like 10 years later, it was like, okay, this is starting to not be quite for kids. And then 20 years later, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even show this to my kids. But the first 10 seasons are good for kids. And it's like, that's because the audience grew with the show. You can't even fault it for that. That's a good thing. So it's like, I forget where I was going with that. Again, with the memories of stoners. But, I really do like the actors that they got to play everyone. Like, Zoro, they had to take off, like, part of his personality, I find, like, the hot-headed piece, because he's still not, like, completely calm and collected, and you can tell, but he's not as hot-headed as he is in the show, but, in the anime. But, I really do like the style of, like, everything that, what's his name, Mikenzu, something like that? Everything that he does with the character, I adore it. Same with, Emily Rudd? I forget. Nami, I don't think she's what most people would be expecting, especially, I know what some guys would really like Nami to look like in reality, and I've seen pictures of people dressed up like cosplaying Nami that, like, probably set the expectations ridiculously high. But, I find she does a really, really good job. The one thing where I'm like, I think, like, it improved by the end of the first season. So it's like, okay. But at the beginning, it kind of seemed like she wasn't, like, I don't know, as agile as she was supposed to be. And I don't know if that was because of the actor, because of the directing, or because of the editing, like, everything together. I have no idea. But in the first 2 episodes, I find everybody else's movements are, like, a lot more fluid, and they, like, flow together really well. I really love whenever Zoro turns and, like, throws the cup and like beats those guys without taking his sword out. Just like, what is that? Like, I rewatched that in slow. Like, how did they do that one? So I really love all of that, and I don't find that Nami, the actress, her like mannerisms flow quite as well as the others do, especially in the first like 2 episodes ish. But then by the end, yeah, I find she's like a good fighter too. Oh my god, it's just. I really love the end whenever, I'm trying to think of, like, the last time I saw her fight, which is whenever she pulls out, and I think this all flowed really, really well together, she pulls out the bow and smacks what's his name? The rat guy who looks like a mouse in this, in the back of the head. I adore that. But yeah, so the themes are pursuing your dreams and the contrast between good and between good and bad not being within the Marines or the pirates, but within both. And all humans have the display, like the potential for one or the other. And I really, really love that they show that. They show the whole part of it. They show that Marines can be bad and pirates can be good. And it's not a matter of like who you are as a person even. It's a matter of the choices that you make every single day, which makes me think of Firefly. See, like I want to talk about One Piece, but I also want to just talk about TV in general. I want to bring everything together. Like it's a cult classic, Firefly. Come on, if you watch One Piece, you gotta know Firefly, and if you don't know Firefly, go watch it. It's literally like 10 episodes. I know it's the opposite of One Piece there with the 20 seasons, but still... I think it's like 14 if you count the movie too. So it's like 13 episodes in the movie. But anyways... not 6 seasons in a movie. See, again, with the TV references, I really need to chill out. I love in Firefly, and I felt like this recently. I felt like there really wasn't a choice. Like, people keep saying, like, I made a good choice. And I get this more than I ever have. And I think it's true. And One Piece even shows it without saying it or stealing the line from Firefly. But that's, he does something good, he does something bad, he finds out that the people he's robbing from aren't like bad people. They're not even neutral people. They are sick people. And he gives